Many of us have felt the physical strain of gripping a relationship long after we knew it had stalled. We hold on because the alternative, facing the void left by a loss, feels like a threat to our own stability. This diagram maps a closed-loop system illustrating the paradox of preservation. It shows how the methods used to secure a bond can become the exact drivers of its failure. A fear of loss triggers a demand for increased control, inevitably resulting in system failure. Imposing artificial restrictions creates compounding stress. This friction breaks the relationship faster than if left to its own trajectory. Within this mindset, the mind interprets the act of letting go as a total loss of investment. It frames the release as a failure of character, shielding us from the reality that the connection has already expired. Analyzing these mechanics helps identify when a bond has reached its natural conclusion. Without this clarity, both parties remain locked in a cycle that leads toward mutual destruction. To see these fatal attachments in a physical context, we can look at a classic fable involving a mouse and a frog. These two creatures began their connection as distinct entities. They possessed fundamentally different biological needs and required entirely different environments to survive. The mouse lived with a constant anxiety regarding abandonment. This fear grew so intense that it overrode the mouse's basic survival instincts. To quiet this anxiety, the mouse demanded a physical guarantee of proximity. They tied a thick, fibrous knot around their legs, tethering their fates together. The mouse finally felt the constant closeness it craved. It mistook the physical constraint for a state of safety. However, their survival now depended on a biological impossibility. To maintain this equilibrium, both the mouse and the frog had to act against their own intrinsic natures. The arrangement collapsed the moment the frog acted on its instincts. Seeing a pond, it jumped into the water to swim, just as it was born to do. The mouse was dragged violently into an environment where it could not breathe. The very tether that provided security on land became a mechanism for drowning in the water. Once the mouse drowned, its body became a dead weight. This physical anchor neutralized the frog's ability to move or dive, leaving it trapped on the surface. An eagle circling above spotted the floating mouse. It saw an easy meal and swooped down to claim it. As the predator pulled the mouse into the sky, the knot held firm. The frog was dragged into the air along with its partner, ensuring that a threat to one became a death sentence for both. The water and the predator were merely external factors. The destruction of both animals was caused by the unnatural tether that stripped them of their individual ability to adapt. We see these mechanics in modern relationships. This incompatibility matrix plots individual autonomy against relationship viability. The bottom area is the dead zone of forced conformity. When two force a single restricted path, draining their emotional resources, the trajectory drops directly into the dead zone. Emotional suffocation occurs when one person is required to exist entirely within the restrictive parameters of another person's environment. We often frame this clinging as a sign of deep commitment. In reality, it is the physical and emotional manifestation of the mouse's knot. Stubbornly holding on to people who aren't right for you results in mutual sabotage. Choosing to release a bond serves as a mechanism for preservation. It acknowledges that the survival of both individuals depends on their independence. Severing an unnatural tether reverses the tension immediately. The removal of that constant stress allows the mind to return to a stable baseline. The conclusion of a relationship marks the end of a specific chapter. This transition prevents the type of stagnation that leads to mutual harm. Untying the knot provides the space necessary for both people to breathe and move toward environments where they can actually thrive. Personal growth requires the wisdom to untie the knot. It allows you to stay patient, stay grateful, and continue your progress in life.